Scary story in the house, number 3.
On a serene summer night, I found myself engrossed in constructing the groundwork for the future abode of my family. Finances were restrictive, compelling me to undertake every task single-handedly, employing my own hands for even the tedious chore of drilling 2-meter piles with a weathered Chinese auger. The toil left me utterly fatigued, resembling a worn-out canine. In our locality, the lingering daylight stretched well into the summer evenings, particularly as July approached, gifting us with luminous white nights that unfolded after sunset. As the evening unfolded, embracing a refreshing coolness following the day's intense heat, I contemplated taking a leisurely stroll. The notion of wandering along the rugged expanse of the Athabasca shoreline appealed to me, perhaps even entertaining the idea of a late-night swim before retiring for the day. The clock neared 10 p.m., and the luminosity gradually yielded to a tranquil dusk, with the sun's blazing red orb gracefully bowing down on the distant horizon. Strolling along, I inhaled the evening air, my thoughts drifting towards the events of the day and formulating aspirations for the times ahead. Although the locale wasn't exactly secluded, the absence of many individuals was conspicuous, predominantly comprising fellow do-it-yourself builders engrossed in their tasks with scarce moments to spare for leisure. The elevated shoreline overlooked the murmuring river below, adorned with a scattering of rocks, strategically positioned like natural platforms at brief intervals. Amidst this picturesque setting, my attention was captivated by a solitary figure seated on one of the rocks, her back turned to me. Initially, I entertained the notion of continuing my walk without intruding upon her tranquility, given my innate shyness. However, my legs, seemingly propelled by their own volition, veered left onto an unassuming path amidst the grass. As I approached, the girl pivoted and I found myself entranced. The prospect of retracing my steps seemed imprudent, while forging ahead risked disrupting someone who appeared to be seeking solace. Stumbling over mumbled words of explanation and apologies, I was met with the girl's serene smile, dispelling any awkwardness that lingered in the air.
"I'm Miley,"
she declared with a warm smile. In response, I introduced myself as Stanley, silently acknowledging the uniqueness of the name Miley. Not an exceedingly rare name, yet an uncommon one in our vicinity. The girl herself appeared unremarkable, of average stature, adorned in simple attire. The twilight cast a subtle haze, rendering the details less distinct, and maintaining prolonged eye contact felt oddly disconcerting. Nevertheless, we engaged in conversation, and I extended an offer to accompany Miley to her residence, situated approximately 5 miles away in the city. It struck me as somewhat surprising that a girl, unaccompanied, would venture such a distance late at night. Despite the distance, I found myself content with the prospect, envisioning ample time for conversation and perhaps the opportunity to request her phone number. The realization that I had a car on my property, which could have expedited the journey, didn't cross my mind. The ambience of summer, accompanied by the presence of a captivating girl and the backdrop of a sunset, whispered of romance. The walk unfolded uneventfully as we exchanged casual dialogue, and nothing particularly extraordinary about my companion seized my attention. She was simply a pleasant girl, and I found myself growing increasingly fond of her. As we arrived at her residence an hour and a half later, pausing about 300 meters from the old barracks at Miley's insistence, I couldn't help but wonder about the reasons behind her cautiousness. Perhaps her mother was strict, or her father exhibited unpredictability. While I refrained from prying into Miley's age, it was evident that she was around my age, beyond the threshold of legality. I chose not to press the matter, contenting myself with obtaining her phone number. Exhausted but elated, I returned to my property after midnight, indulging in a hasty snack before retiring for the night, a smile playing on my lips. Startled from my slumber, I was roused by a gentle knock at the door, more amicable than urgent. In my semi-conscious state, the hour eluded me, and the identity of the visitor remained a mystery. The persistent tapping puzzled me. What in the world? The perimeter of the property was secured by a fence, and the gate stood firmly locked. Ollie, my ever-present feline companion, typically dashed to the door whether at home or here. Yet she now sat by my feet, her back arched, fur standing on end, emitting hisses of discontent. The room was in darkness, indicating that only a short period of sleep had transpired, perhaps around 3 a.m., summoning the last vestiges of wakefulness. I queried. "Who's there?" Silence hung in the air, and the cat ceased her hissing but maintained an unwavering gaze at the door. Could it be a dream? Stray cats or dogs from the neighbors venturing near? For approximately 10 minutes, I lingered in this suspended state of quietude. No disturbances disrupted the tranquility. However, the prospect of rising, unlocking the door, and investigating, while not inherently frightening, failed to strike me as a prudent idea in the moment. I'm not a coward, yet a subtle trepidation lingered. Then an unexpected wave of drowsiness enveloped me, and I succumbed to sleep once again. The knocking persisted, soft and discreet. Subsequently, as if claws were delicately scraping across a board, a soft, melodic female voice echoed,
Stanley, Stanley, Stanley.
It felt like a dream, compelling me to shake off the drowsiness, rise from the bed, and unravel the mystery. However, an inexplicable force seemed to bind me to the mattress. I'm not a coward, yet a tinge of fear lingered. Just a little. The dream realm asserted its dominance, and I slipped back into slumber without realizing it. Resurfacing from this subconscious sea felt like emerging from underwater. I awoke bathed in sweat, my heart racing in my throat and my extremities aflame. Ollie, stationed near the pillow, sat arched once more, hissing as if poised for a predatory leap. However, the oppressive silence prevailed. No presence lingered, no knocking, no ethereal voice. Seated on the bed, I caught my breath, restored my composure, and approached the door. Yet, the outside revealed nothing but the morning mist and dew. The gate remained shut, and the surroundings were devoid of any human presence. The clock ticked around 5 a.m., but sleep had abandoned my weary eyes. Shaking off the residual effects of the night, I resolved to call the elusive Miley, my potential Juliet. A girl did answer, but her name was Judy, not Miley. Perplexed, she professed ignorance about Miley, asserting her residence in a different city. Subsequent inquiries around the outskirts, targeting the same barracks, yielded no results. No one in the small town, encompassing friends, acquaintances, and the realm of social media, could identify a girl matching Miley's description. With no dramatic resolution on the horizon, I eventually relinquished the quest for Miley and redirected my focus to construction. Judy, whose contact information I possessed, became a part of my life. Our connection extended beyond the realm of phone calls, leading to our rendezvous on Twitter. A decade has elapsed since these perplexing events, yet a definitive understanding continues to elude me. Was it a sequence of coincidences and vivid dreams? Or did I encounter someone that fateful evening who transcended the boundaries of humanity? I've recounted the tale. The decision to believe or dismiss lies in your hands.